Well, as you heard with the children, Independence Day or the 4th of July was one of my favorite holidays growing up as a kid. Unlike Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter, the family would gather outdoors for a scrumptious picnic supper followed by a simple fireworks show. There were only 10 of us on my dad's side, and this side of the family always came together on the 4th. I had my grandparents, my aunt and uncle, and a cousin my brother's age, and a cousin my age. I could hardly wait until my cousin Gary arrived. We got together early in the afternoon and went through our sacks of firecrackers and fireworks. And then we blew as much of them up as we were allowed to, which didn't last for very long. And then we went on our way and played wiffle ball or went and roamed the hills back of my grandparents' house. The highlight of the day was our picnic supper outside. Barbecued hamburgers and sometimes fried chicken as well. Corn on the cob. There would be homemade ice cream and watermelon, potato salad, baked beans, cucumbers, and onions in vinegar. Yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday. Granddad would always gather us around and we would have an opening prayer before we joined in the feast. He would give thanksgiving to God for the freedoms which we are blessed with here in this land, and also the freedoms and the prosperity of the land that he farmed along with my family as well as all. Once darkness crept over the farm and the fireworks show began, it was a simple display, but it was enough. It was enough that when it was over, I missed it, and it made me a little sad. 4th of July is one of those special times when families and friends gather. I'm sure you're all remembering in your minds what it was like growing up as a kid and the celebrations you had. There's community celebrations. Lincoln will have one out at Oak Lake Park today, I think, this afternoon, and this evening fireworks, or tomorrow afternoon. This is our 3rd straight Independence Day with our friends from Georgia, Bob and Ann Forrest, and Bess and Will. I forgot to tell you, Bob is a minister also. Bob is pastor of Nakuchi Presbyterian Church in Sati, Georgia. Look at the website, Nakuchi Presbyterian, great website. I was excited to see the link to Charter of Compassion too on your website. And Forrest is beginning a new job this coming July, moving from teaching and administration at North Georgia State College to Ravens Gap, where she will be the Dean of Human Resources. Will is a star soccer player, and Bess is a star acrobat. We have treasured this time. This is our 3rd straight. Every time we get together, this is the 6th straight time we have been together where it's been extremely hot. You remember what the last 3 weeks were like. And it's cooled down. Either when we're in Georgia or St. Louis or Des Moines or Lincoln. All of those times we have had this cool front when we've been together. So now we know when we want cold weather, we're going to visit the Prims, or we're going to invite them to come visit us. Because they don't believe that we have hot weather here in Nebraska like they do in Georgia. Okay, let's turn our thoughts to church and to the church calendar. Pentecost is a time when we focus on the mission of the church. Green is a symbol of growth. And today's reading from the Gospel of Luke chapter 10, verses 1 through 11 and 16 through 20 is very much concerned with the mission of the early church. Now, a chapter earlier in Luke chapter 9, Jesus calls 12 disciples. And he says to go out, proclaim the kingdom of God, and heal. So mission and healing is what Jesus commissions them to. And then in this chapter, Jesus appoints 70 others. Some manuscripts read 72. The number is symbolic. Luke may be implying 70 on the basis of the totality of all of humanity as Luke turns to his Hebrew scriptures back in Genesis chapter 10, which lists the table of nations, 70 in all, the totality of the whole human globe. Or perhaps Luke is turning to his Hebrew scriptures in Numbers and Exodus, which talks about Moses commissioning 70 elders to help Moses in his work of leading the people through the Exodus to the Promised Land. Nevertheless, in either case, the underlying theme of this gospel, the Gospel of Luke, is God's saving grace for all of humanity. And note the word all humanity. All the humanity that we saw on the screen who walk even different paths of faith than we do. And the call of every disciple is to be an intentional witness. Intentional by modeling the compassion and the mercy and the love and justice of Jesus Christ wherever one walks in this world. One of today's most gifted teachers and spiritual writers is Brian McLaren. And in his book, Why Did Jesus, Moses, the Buddha, and Muhammad Cross the Road? He says this: Jesus didn't start a school, nor did he start a denomination or an institution. If anything, he started what we would call a community organizing movement. And according to Luke chapter 8, verses 1 through 3, this movement was in large part supported by an all-female board of directors. He recruited 12 disciples or core volunteers to lead this movement. They were a diverse lot, almost comically so at times, pairing a zealot like Simon with a tax collector like Matthew, or linking a compulsive activist like Peter with a mystic poet like John. Their influence extended to a large network of committed allies. What did the movement do? They traveled from village to village, much like a political campaign, spreading their message, looking for people of peace, and networking them together, feeding the hungry, healing the sick, offering hope to the depressed, promising freedom for the oppressed, confronting the oppressors, and conversing with questioners and critics. Sometimes they organized what we might call outdoor festivals, complete with teaching and food for thousands. Sometimes they staged what we would call public demonstrations, a march into Jerusalem, civil disobedience in the temple. And often they engaged in quiet, behind-the-scenes relationship building, meeting with an amazing range of people. In today's lesson, notice how the 70 are to go forth in mission. They are dramatically unequipped. They have no purse, no bag of possessions, no sandals. They're radically dependent on the hospitality of the people whose doors they knock on. And they're instructed to offer peace the first thing when they are welcomed into a home. And when they experience rejection, just turn around, walk the other way, shake the dust off their feet, and move on. Jesus' way was a way of peace, not of violence. We know that. And the peace the disciples are instructed to offer is more than just a simple greeting, peace be with you. Peace. In Hebrew, the word for peace is shalom. And shalom means, yes, peace, freedom from conflict, but it also means harmony and wholeness and completeness and prosperity and welfare and tranquility. Peace both internally and peace externally with others. The 70 were to offer peace, cure the sick, and to share that the new age has arrived. And their lives and their work would be representative of God's new age. They learned from Jesus that in every act of compassion, people touch Christ. Every act of compassion, you touch Christ. And they remember Jesus teaching them this powerful passage in Matthew 25 when Jesus said, I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was naked and you gave me clothing. I was sick and you take care of me. And I was in prison and you visited me. The 70 are sent with the strategy of intentional witnessing that the new age of God is indeed here. And the good news is that nobody was sent out alone. They were sent in pairs. Pairs. Church, this is team ministry. This is a team ministry strategy. And I am convinced that the success of the church was so totally dependent upon teams, upon two people going out and two people getting two others to go with them and two others, on and on. 12 followers of Jesus took this good news to the world. And they took it to other small groups of people. And these small groups took it to other small groups of people. And this strategy then became exponentially growing in numbers. So, church, we are here this morning. We are here because we've been touched by that message. And we've been called by Jesus to be here through baptism and through the Spirit's power within us. And we're here because we are still proclaiming that God's new age has arrived, that it's here, among us, within us, out there. The world so desperately needs the teaching of shalom, the teaching of peace and wholeness and harmony. Whenever I turn on the TV, I listen and I feel that the world is wanting us to focus on the deep division that we have in our politics here in this country. Republicans and Democrats, there's a new poll every 24 hours, who's ahead. There's a new charge or investigation that costs taxpayers millions of dollars. There's the insanity of political fundraising and campaigning. That's what the world seems to want. Not only here, but England and probably pretty much everywhere around the globe. What does God want? I think the authentic voice of Jesus wants us to talk about justice. Justice for those who don't have enough to eat and those who don't have a home to lay down in. I think that the world wants us to focus on the divisions between humanity, like Brexit, England, withdrawing from the European nation. The world wants us to focus on building walls of separation, whether it's between Israeli and Palestinian or between American and Mexico. The world's pretty good at building walls. I feel that the world wants us to be about border wars, about not accepting other groups of people who are different than us. But God calls us here. God calls us here for a moment of refreshment before we go out there to do our work. And that work is to repair relationships. That work is to build bridges of compassion that links all of the peoples of our communities and nation together. Our work out there is to heal divisions between families and peoples, and our work out there is to be peacemakers, and to offer peace for those who can't experience a moment of peace. And our work in here is gentle, and it's wonderful. But our work out there is risky. Our work out there is dangerous. Our work out there brings rejection. We need each other, don't we? Isn't that why we're here? Because we need each other. God is behind us every step of the way and will not turn God's back on us when we fail. And that will happen a lot. But church, we are called to go forth out there into that big, bad, ugly world. No, that wonderful, beautiful world. To see the beauty in it. To see the beauty in each other. What God began through Jesus, that extended to the disciples, that extended to the 70 whose mission it was to take it to other small groups of people, and then Paul who takes it into the Gentile world. That message, that spark of life is still in us, evolving through us. This is the work of the Spirit. This is the Pentecost time of the church. This is God working through us to transform the world. Peace be it to us and to the world. God bless you as you go out.